watch it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Her Story in Color. We are here today to interview the Awaken, Your Inner Warrior co-authors. So we're going to dive right on into it and get to know a little bit more of these authors and their stories. I have here with me today Ms. Shivonya Jefferson, LaCoshia Anderson-Ned, Soshe Mayes, Natashia Gray, and the visionary author Kimberly Branch. We're going to start with chapter 1, and that is Soshe Mayes. She is a dedicated infectious disease nurse in corrections at the University of Texas Medical Branch, and she's actively contributing to the well-being of her patients. Soshe Mayes shines as a beacon of compassion, dedication, and positive influence. So, Soshe, thank you so much for joining the panel today. And I just want to start off by asking you, what made you choose the title for your story, and why did you feel that it was time for you right now to share your story?
Well, first, I chose Unbroken and Unashamed because at one time I was broken and ashamed. My son is incarcerated, and with the stigmatism or the stigma of having an incarcerated son or an incarcerated family member, it can break you. You know, it can make you feel as if what you did was wrong, even though you've done everything that you can do to raise them appropriately. They have their own mind, and their mind, and the things that they tend to do ends up being the thing that harms them the most when they don't listen.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, as you just mentioned, you spoke about your son. In your chapter, it speaks about the heartbreak that you experienced when your son was sentenced, unfortunately, to 30 years for a first-time offense. And right. You stated that you felt like you went from being a mom that was swelling with pride, right? And then in an instant, you went to being a mother that was filled with shame, and it made you feel as if though you were broken. Can you explain to us the emotions of how one decision from your son and one decision from a judge changed your life forever? However, it has put you on this path to awaken your inner warrior.
It happens to be something that is always there. First and foremost, he did go to prison, and that prison sentence was way, I don't even know how to explain it. It was dramatic. 30 years on a first-time offense is extreme. I can't fathom what's going through the judge's mind at that particular moment, but I could tell you at that particular moment, I was devastated, completely devastated, unsure on whether or not I would be able to ever hug my son again in person. Would I have the opportunity to embrace him again? So that in itself is hard to try to figure out as a parent, and not knowing where whether to go to the right or to the left, because everybody in your family has their own thing going on. So there's nobody to help you. So you have no clue on what your next move is going to be. And the public defender's office, yeah, that's all I can say with that is yeah, because they're not here to help you most times, so you're not sure.
Right. And so we spoke a little bit before we got on today, and I really wish that the audience could have been a fly on the wall in that moment, because a couple of tears were shared. But can you let us know the emotion of being a mother and not being able to physically touch your son, hug him, hold him, due to the policy and rules of where he is? They don't even allow you to be in the room. I mean, everything is on screen. And so just give us a little bit of insight of that, and then we'll go into the next follow-up questions.
Well, he is where he's incarcerated is a facility that's a private owned facility. And because it's a private owned facility, they don't have visits. It's only video visits. So there's no, at this present moment, there's no interaction other than a video visit, because I can't talk, I can talk to him, but I can't hug him. I can't bring other people there to visit him. And I haven't physically had the opportunity to hug my son in over 7 years. So that in itself is kind of is difficult, especially when you and your children are extremely close. We talked every day. He would sit at the edge of my bed and communicate with me every day. And then when I moved to a different state, we talked every day. We talked on the phone, we text, but physically, I haven't been able to actually hug him in over 7 years. And that led me to the decision that I had to tell my story so somebody else would not have to have the pain and know that they're not alone. They're not alone.
And so I want to go into this part of desperation and determination coexist. When you spoke about this in your chapter, I was like, wow, I never thought to put that together. And you said it was the desperation of needing to help your son and get the resources and things that you need, and the determination to tell your story. So can you just elaborate on how you got to the realization that those two words actually coexist for you?
I came to the realization because the desperation that I had to actually still stay alive, and be able to see him again, because I had this thing: in 30 years, will I still be here? you know, will I still be alive to actually hug him, to actually sit with him and drink a cup of coffee? That was our thing. Um, I don't know about you, but would you be able to sit and have a glass of wine with your kids? They're grown. They're not children anymore. They do their own thing. They whatever it is. But the desperation that I had to still be okay. I was overweight. I mean, like most of us, after we get to a certain age, we get overweight. I was over 200 pounds. Um, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Some mornings it was hard for me to even grab a cup without being in pain. And people think, oh, well, that's just another one of those things that's in your mind. And they don't realize that it's real. It's something you deal with on a daily basis by yourself. I was reading one of the stories from one of the other authors in the book, and she was saying that she was blind, and she physically could not see, and people didn't understand what was going on. So for me, that was my blindness. People physically couldn't see what was going on with me, but I was so desperate and determined to do something different to make sure that I'm still here. Now I was in a 16. Well, the other day I put on an 8 dress. I put on a size 8 dress. For me, that's significant. I'm able to not take conventional medicine like most people. I figured out my own regimen on what I needed for my own body. So now I'm doing 100 squats every day as a challenge with one of my friends. I can do that now. I couldn't physically do that before. So I'm smaller than I was. So the determination to do something better in order to make sure that I am still here when he gets home versus not having anything financially to be able to contribute because financially wise, I wasn't able to do that. So that was my two into correlation.
So before we go to the visionary author, I have one more question for you. Which I thought was and I told you there's so much meat and potatoes in this book, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I love how the full circle moments come toward the end of these chapters. And you had a full circle moment where you stated, while others may attempt to place blame on us for their behavior, we as parents have done our utmost with the resources and knowledge at our disposal. We cannot dictate their choices. So can you tell us in this full circle moment how you left shame and blame behind and shifted your focus on loving yourself and helping others, helping others in other similar situations as yours?
Um, as you stated, I'm an infectious disease nurse. So I am an infectious disease nurse in a prison. Most people would be like, oh, you work in a prison, but my son is incarcerated. So I make sure that I treat others, children, the way I want somebody to treat mine. Because people fail to realize, they say all the time that um, karma is something, but karma is only something when you don't do things that's right by other people. So I want that karma that I treat other people's children with the utmost respect and do the very best I can to make sure that they are okay on a daily basis. So someone can do the same for mine. And they do make their own decisions. And for a long time, I felt like it was my fault, but it's not my fault because I did the very best I could with the very best that I had. So, as a mother or a father that's raising a child by themselves, because fathers do raise their children alone, there are some times that they make decisions on their own choices that we have no control over. So, with that, that's my unashamed and unbroken because I am no longer ashamed and I am no longer broken.
I love it. I love it. And now we will go to our visionary author, Kimberly Branch, to get her thoughts on your chapter in the book.
Ooh, Soshi, that was a lot. Let me tell you, when I first read your chapter, there was, like I would say, a lot of meat and potatoes up in here. But the one thing about it that stood out was your faith. And then there was a time where you connected with your mom. And I was just like visioning it like, okay, she's connecting with her mom and her mom is helping her through this because for a whole year you struggled, you cried and was trying to figure out like, what am I going to do? My son is in jail. I'm trying to be the best mom that I can. I'm trying to deal with these lawyers and dealing with the judicial system and all the things that's coming with it and still trying to take care of household because there's still other children and grandchildren to take care of. And I was like, the weight of everything on you. But in this book, it was like from A to Z, from being broken, unashamed, and to being able to thrive and also encourage other people. I left in the Facebook group that even today, your story impacted a family member of mine in a huge way. because he was actually on the other side of navigating the judicial system in Houston, Texas. And being a father, he was like, he can relate to not having his child and being in jail and not getting the support and not having really good lawyers. So your story is helping other people even now. So the more and more you share your story, it's going to help somebody else. And so I'll be glad when you'll be helping other people get children out of jail. But the one thing that I really liked that hit me was in the back of the book. It was at the very, very end of your chapter, because you talk about being ashamed, because I think, especially living in a small town or just people in general, everybody expect us to raise our children and they're supposed to be perfect. And, oh, if they make a mistake, then it's your fault because of what your child did. But at the end of the day, they make their own decisions because we have basically given them a foundation. And our hope is that when they leave our home, they do the things that they're supposed to do. And we never know what's going to happen. But I also say that we were all predestined anyway. God knew what he had planned it anyway. And so they make the decision, but at the end of the day, it's a decision that they have to live with. But us as parents, it's hard because we don't want them to have to go down that hard road, because like, if you just listen to me and do what I say, then everything's will be perfect, right? But that's not how God wants things to be, and that's just not how the real world is. But I love that at the back, he basically, I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but it says, as our children transition into adulthood, they gradually assume responsibility for their own lives, and the weight of accountability shifts from us as parents. And that, just that alone, helps so many other parents that are reading this, because I know for my own self, I was putting the weight of some of the decisions that my children had made. And I was like, well, dang, but that was their path to make, not my path to make, but my path to be there to support them. And that's all that we could do at the end of the day, is that we love on them, we support them and get them through it. But at the end of the day, they still make their own decisions. But that's what I got from it. It was just like, wow. It's a lot to take on, but you've carried that weight, and then look at you. You're always glowing. You're always a positive light. And so when I say we don't look like what we went through, Soshe Mayes. So thank you for sharing your story with us, because it's one powerful one.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
And Soshi, we do have a question for you from the audience. And it says, how are you coping with the distance between you and your son?
That is a tough one. That's 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 a tough one. It's just tough. That's all I can say. It's tough. I love him. I miss him. That's tough.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now, we are so there for you with our, the empathetic heart that I think as Black women, we see this so much in our culture. So it feels as if though your son is our son, your son is our brother, your son is our cousin. And so that's why we were crying earlier, right? Because I was telling you about what happened with my cousin who is in jail for a long time. But I don't think they understand how much it affects us as a community, as a Black, especially the story of first time offense. Oh, that right there is just really. And then they close the book and they're like, we're not even going to revisit it. We're not even going to try. And it's the ripple effect of the pain on the mother and on the children that are left behind and left without a father figure presence right there in their life. So we're going to move right on to Ms. Shivonya Jefferson. So please let us know why you chose your chapter and the name and why you wanted to share your story.
Chose failure was never an option because it was never an option for me. I was born into um, a lot of situations that I couldn't give up on, and so that's why I chose failure was never an option. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, I'm gonna give it a little bit of since you kept it so short, I'm gonna give a little bit of background. You are a native of Beaufort, South Carolina.
Buford.
Um, you reside in Florida with your husband and children and large dog. What kind of dog?
I have a Rhodesian Ridgeback and a Redbone Coonhound.
Wow. I have a little pocket bully, so we don't have anything on that. But you served in the U.S. Air Force, so thank you for your service
You're
from
welcome.
2000 to 2003 before separating from the military. And let's see, and now you are a licensed realtor, so you have helping people find their forever homes. You have traveled over 30 countries and half of the USA, and you share your story in hopes to inspire others. And you believe that even in your dark days, someone holds the light. So I love that. Now let's get into it. I have to go on and be professional, right? Let's get into it. Your chapter. Oh my God. Out of all the chapters, I think I hollered out yes. Yes, several times. Because you asked every question about life and how like living with an autoimmune disease. And I was like, is this woman in my head? Like every question, because you put on there, have you ever been alone in a room full of people? Have you ever allowed someone else's opinion to make you question your sanity? Oh, oh, let's see, what's another one? How do you tell your friends how bad you feel inside when you look perfectly fine on the outside? If that's not an invisible illness, baby, I don't know what is. And have you ever been tired of being poked and tested like a lab rat? Yes, yes, all the time. And listen, this is not my story, but listen, I've been getting poked for 21 years and I am tired. Tired. So it says that you said that after you asked those questions, you went, this is what sickness and trauma does. You will never feel truly free. And when you say that, I read through the chapter. You were fatherless at 3 years old. Unfortunately, raped at 12. A young mother at 17. Divorced by 21. And you said you felt like the world was destined to title you as a failure. So it makes my eyes water just thinking that you went through. Can you tell us how you coped with your trauma?
Well, initially it came off as anger.
Well, let us know.
Yeah, it comes off as anger, like you walk around, you have an attitude with everybody, but nobody knows what you're going through. So they just, write it off, be like, oh, she's just angry, or she's just has attitude all the time. So they don't want to be bothered with you because you have this, attitude all the time. So mine came off as anger for a long, long time, actually until I was like in my 20s. And I decided to start getting, well, I didn't decide. I suffer post-traumatic stress disorder, and I had to get counseling for it. And then you find out, oh, you have anger issues. You have to go to anger management, and these type of things happen like so long ago, so you don't think it affect you your whole life, So that's how mine just came off as anger. Like if you see or meet anybody from my school, they'd be like, oh, she's just angry, mad, that type of. They probably would say that about me.
So how did you start to navigate through that anger to get to the place where you are right now?
Well, just like I said, I went through counseling for a while, and just prayer, my family praying for me, and not allowing the anger or that I had, or attitude that I had with them to stop them from taking care of me and being there for me.
Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, in our community, therapy was frowned upon at one point. And for some, it still is frowned upon. Pray before you go to the psychologist. But you did it. So let us know, like, what got you to the realization that, hey, listen, it's got to be, I need more than just talking to a family member or a friend, or I need more than church. I need more, what made you come to the realization that you actually needed professional help?
I actually didn't know that I needed it. My my
We have some.
okay. Can you
There
hear
you
me?
go. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So my first sergeant is the one who made me go to therapy, because of course when you're going through stuff and you have an attitude with everybody, you don't think something's wrong with you. There's something wrong with them. So they made me go to therapy, and that's when I figured out, oh, this is not how you're supposed to act. And then you figure out there's trauma behind that causes you to act aggressive towards other people, even when they're being nice to you. You still be like, I know they want something from me, or they're about to do something to me. So my first sergeant helped me, made me go to therapy additionally.
So as we wrap up, can you give us a little bit of summary of what it's like to be diagnosed with an invisible illness? You got diagnosed with lupus, which is what I always say is the sister disease to myositis and fibromyalgia. They're all in the same family. So can you let us know what life is like for you, and if you feel as if though, from what you stated earlier, never truly being free, if you have come to a stage now where you have reclaimed your freedom?
Oh, I'm completely free right now. But finding out I had lupus, it took them over 10 years to figure it out. Now, I had done research. My family member had told me to get tested for it, and they just didn't believe me. So once it got diagnosed, so now I got this diagnosis, and it kind of broke my heart that I have kids, and you think about your life is going to be short now because they give you this diagnosis, and then there's no cure for it. So I started doing research and routine, development routines, because all they wanted to do was give me medicine. And every medicine I got on made me sicker and sicker and sicker. So I started doing like natural herbs and looking up different things to try to treat myself, and not allowing them saying you're not going to be able to walk, you're not going to be able to do this, deterring me from getting better. And for about, I think the last 7 years, I have been doing really well. I've been off my medicines for a good while now, and I continue to be grateful and pray all the time that God continues to heal me, so I'll be able to tell my story and help other people get through this disease, because a lot of people with lupus have passed away. The doctors give them medicines, and they, you take the medicine hoping to get better, and they're not getting better. They're getting sicker, and they just don't know how, have nobody to turn to. And I hope to one day be able to navigate the waters for them and help them, help guide them to get better.
Okay, and you do have a comment from the audience, and it says, what would you say now to your young adult self?
To my young adult self, I would probably say, stay focused, dream big, and don't let nobody stop your dreams.
That's some great advice. And now we will be going to Kimberly Branch, the visionary author. for her take on your chapter.
I was just sitting here listening because I met Shivonya when we were in Japan and we worked together. And I remember seeing you come into the office many days in pain and barely walking. And you would walk like really, really, really slow. And I was like, what is going on with her? And you were like, I have lupus, I'm in pain, or it was the doctors don't really know what's going on with me. And this was like way back when, because we were in Japan in 2006. And as I read your story, I was just like, I didn't know too much about, losing your father so young, but it kind of like hit me because it was like y'all was right there. Like we all can see, we're all outside with you outside too. But the poem that you wrote in honor of your father, that was powerful. But the one thing that was the takeaway for me was what you gave everybody. You said, finally, I found the right regiment and my levels were down. I was feeling like myself again. I started my own program, prayer, meditation, and self-care, which I call PMS. These three things will help you get through your past trauma, your anxiety, your depression, your physical fatigue, and pretty much anything that you are going through. And then as a woman, we're like, oh, PMS. So it was just so easy for me to like grasp that, but it was just like, yeah, prayer is what's going to get you through on a daily basis. And then you're meditating, and then that self-care. And so to hear you say you have lupus, and we know what lupus does to the body, and you're not on any medication, now you're on a natural regimen because now you're being your own advocate, because you do a lot of research. You do a lot of research. And so I just thought your story was great because it was like, I could see the transformation, because I remember when you were sick and there was times when you were not at work and you were going through the motions and battling different things. But today you're a totally different person. Like you're literally living life. And sometimes we can't see all the things, but other people can see your transformation and your journey. And so today you are advocating for other people. And so that's something you said that you wanted to do. You got to continue to do it because you've already got the roadmap that's going to help somebody else. And I know you've already started talking to me about my own stuff. Like, hey, what are you taking? Like, read them labels. So advocacy is huge. We have to help other people, because if we got the blueprint and we've already overcome something, we gotta reach back and help somebody else, because that invisible illness, that's the thing. People don't really believe us when we say, hey, this is going on with me, because of course it's invisible, the doctors, but you kept saying, well, I'm going to keep on hitting it. And that's what you've done. So and failure was never an option for you. So you were like, I'm not going to fail because, I don't care what everybody else say. I'm going to keep pushing no matter what that comes my way. So that was my takeaways from Ladybug.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Kim. And now up next, we have LaCoshia Ned. And I will start off with a little bit of a background on her. And she is from Westlake, Louisiana, and licensed cosmetologist, and soon will start her first hair care line. As an author, LaCoshia writes about her experience of coping with the loss of a child. She plans to continue writing books that will inspire people to never give up nor give up on their dreams. So, this, of course, was a tough chapter for me. And Kim, she kind of warned me first because I also lost my firstborn. So this right here really, really pulled at my heartstrings. And I know before going into this, I know people say that, like, a loss is a loss. And I agree. But for me, sometimes it's levels to it. And I feel as if, though, what you went through far exceeds my my level. My eyes, it's so difficult to lose a child, but in the way that your daughter passed away, it just really pulled at my heartstrings. And if you could go into a little bit of how you found out about trisomy 18, because you found out during your pregnancy that your daughter had trisomy 18. Let us know how you felt in that moment, and also educate us on what trisomy 18 is. Okay, I think you can you see if your mic is working now? Yes, we got it.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay. I found out about trisomy 18 during my first or second month of pregnancy. I did blood work, so one of my nurses had told me about trisomy 18, and I was like, "What is that?" So I went to Googling, and I found out that it's also called Edward syndrome, and it's an extra chromosome that Down syndrome also has. So it kind of have the same similarities, but it's a lot more life-threatening than syndrome. And she had a lot of deformities and heart problems and everything that was more life-threatening than a typical any other disease or whatever. But it inspired me to write about it and talk about it, because the doctors, this is a disease, is a major it's a major disease, and not very many people know about it, so they just say, they give you the options to pretty much either you keep your child, which that's what I do, was keep my child and learn more about the trisomy 18 and give her a life. And the other option was abortion, and that wasn't an option for me. So I decided to keep her and figure it out. And with the help of me and my family, we figured it out and gave her 6 months of life. I didn't give her 6 months of life, God did. But we cherish those moments that we had with her, from the beginning all the way to the end.
Excuse me. So speaking of when you said you cherished your life all the way through to the end, before going home, the hospital did an honor walk for your daughter. Can you let us know how you were feeling, some of your thoughts as you did this honor walk out of the hospital for the last time?
Well, when I did the honor walk, I really was almost in the denial stage that she wasn't passing away. So I was pretty much like, I was excited that we was going and actually coming to read. It was an actual honor walk until I watched, like, this was really an honor walk. But I never wanted, I'm glad I did do it that way, because I didn't want to remember it as an honor walk. I wanted to remember her, how we cherished her on an everyday, as if nothing was wrong. Because that was more of the exciting part of her life, was, you know, and spending time with her and seeing her, you know, she did these weird face expressions all the time, and we was just laughing with her. But that was pretty much my honor walk. I was kind of gone during the honor walk, but after watching the videos, I really breathtaking. But I now looking forward with the honor walk. I cherish her through balloon releases and memorables and stuff like that.
And so in your chapter, you question, why would God take away your only daughter? And that right there pulled in my heartstrings, because I now have 2 daughters and I only had 1 son. So I've asked that question before. Why take away my only son? So that really pulled at my heart for you. And so can you speak about how you navigated, I guess you could say, daily through those thoughts and through those questions and emotions? Literally, when reading your chapter, like from understanding grief and attending therapy, just let us know, like, how did you navigate through that emotion, and how did therapy and faith help you in that situation? So now, awakening your inner warrior, how did you get to that level, to that place?
Okay. Yes, I was going through, I started with therapy with losing her. Well, let me back it up to her being my only daughter. I was so excited because I found out I was pregnant, and I was 38 years old. Having her, so, you know, society tell you, hey, you know, if you're 38 years old, you know, you have these difficulties with, but I didn't care. I was like, hey, you know, I'm excited, I'm pregnant and everything. So I was hoping for a girl, and I ended up doing the gender reveal, and I found out I was having a girl, and I was excited. And during the same time, I also found out that she had trisomy 18. But I didn't really worry about the trisomy 18 as much, because I would be, you know, I always really believe everything. Because, you know, sometimes the doctors are wrong, and they'll say, oh yeah, it's this, and then no, one of my kids had that syndrome, and I was like, that's probably the same thing that's going on. So I didn't believe it. So I waited until after she was born, but I still felt like after she was born, even though she was my only daughter, I was like, you know, God not going to give you more than you can bear. So with that, I was like, okay, God, I need help. And I started talking to my doctors, and I was like, I need help. I need counseling. I need somebody to talk to, because having my brother 40, it was hard. So I knew how that was. So I didn't want to experience that with my daughter. So, like, in reality of losing a daughter, I day. I don't win, but I know I'm gonna lose her. So I had to prepare myself for that day. But I felt like I should get ready and not be in so much denial. So I just cherish her every day. Did memorables, videos, took pictures, everything that I could to have to remember her from. And then I talk to members, and I see the doctors and the counselors and everything, and I stayed up to date with the doctors. I still talk to them because it is hard. Sometimes you think that, oh, I'm good, and I'm not gonna need anyone to talk to, but you'll go backwards into a depression. And I don't want to go there. I don't want to feel that, because I felt depressed when I first found out she was diagnosed with it. And it was a lot. It was very, very emotional going through it and having to hold up in your family, your kids. It's hard. It was hard. But I got through with it, and I knew it was a rainbow on the other side.
Well, we do have a question from the audience, and it says, what advice do you have for other parents facing a similar situation right now?
Well, dealing with the lost, would advise to talk to family members. Keep in touch with your family. If you don't have family, friends, but see, even though you may have lost a child, you may not have lost a child like through death, but you may have lost a child through incarceration or any kind of just your child could be right there in your home and you lost them because you're not speaking, so you would still need to seek counseling, to talk to the counselor and get them to get them to hear you so that you can get through. It's not just the loss of a child that's actually deceased. It's actually more,
Okay, well, thank you for that advice. And now we will go to Kimberly for her takeaway on your chapter.
All right. So lots of takeaways, of course, but for me, I saw you navigate everything. I wasn't there, but here a distance. And you were talking about the denial, and I remember you went through the denial stage. I think that's for any one of us. Excuse my sound. I hear it coming through, y'all. Sorry. But the denial stage and then the depression, but you started to seek therapy. And so I could see that transition where you sought therapy because that's what you were going to need to get you through. But also that strength, because not only that you had Anata, you still had sons to take care of as well. And so you still had to reach down and tap into your inner warrior. And so you still had that going for you. To lose a child, that's a lot. I don't know what that is, what it's like to lose it, but I know that we have you to can help somebody else overcome, or even just give us the tools. So that's what I hit on in your chapter. Because once you were able to get through the denial and get through the depression, seek therapy, and be able to, okay, now I can give somebody else some tips. So what I got from you was basically having a good support system. If you don't have a support system and you're grieving, that is hard because then you're alone and then you're going to be slipping right back into depression. Communicate with your partner and your spouse
Yes.
your feelings because you're both are going through the same thing, but you both have different um, responses of how you're dealing with grief. And then you also put that allowing yourself time to grieve. We like to put a time on grief, but there is no limit to when grief is going to hit us. I lost my mom 2 years ago, and it didn't hit me until like last year at her birthday. So we can't put a time limit on the grief. So, and then you said allowing other people to help. We as women, we want to do everything on our own. We don't want to put a burden on anybody else. We want to do everything ourselves. But allowing other people to help you is so essential. And so that was another one of my takeaways. But you also talked about your children. Don't try to make your children get over the loss of their sibling. Grief takes time and is different for everyone involved. And having young children who now have to navigate that their sibling is gone, they have to be able to grieve their own way. And they have been able to grieve their sister in their own way. And so I love that, but also, and Holly mentioned it earlier, and I had the honor work highlighted um, because that was a special day. You said that you guys before leaving the hospital, they did the honor walk for Anana, and of course there was not a dry eye in the place, but you guys were first. You flew first class. And from it, even though she was here for a few months, she impacted everybody's lives in so many ways. So she connected with everyone at the hospital, and you're still in contact with them, but also it brought your family together. You mentioned that your family got closer during this time frame because you had to rely on each other. And that was what I got from it. And you're still honoring her. You guys did the honor walk, but you still honor her by doing the balloon release. And now you created the Trisomy 18 page and doing advocacy there. And you're getting ready to launch that brand that's going to be in her honor. And so she continues to live on and on. And so now you're going to be sharing with other people of how to cope with loss of a child, and not just loss by death, as you mentioned, but loss in incarceration or just children struggling with life in general. So that was my takeaways from your story. You said always believe that God will get you through the storm to the rainbow on the other side. And you just mentioned that earlier. So that was my takeaways. It was a good coach. And you tapped into your inner warrior. You just probably didn't know it at the time.
Thank you, Kimberly, for your takeaways. And up next, last but not least, we have Natashia Gray.
Can you say it again?
What was that?
Oh no, I said hey.
Oh, okay. I thought Kosha had something to add. So okay, I'll just keep going. Natashia is a social media influencer as a homeschool guru and lifestyle blogger. She is a certified life coach, founder, and author of Tutor Time Tutoring. Natashia has worked in the education field for over a decade and a half. She is a native of Westlake, Louisiana. Part of her calling is to share her life with others in hopes they may find a path that's not yet seen. I love that. I love that. Especially with the kids, like they're so young, they don't know what they're gonna be in life yet. But we're gonna dive into your chapter, which is called About Face. She is chapter 9. As you opened your chapter, you talk about looking at a past photo, right? And then you say you started realizing that in that photo, this was a girl that had not reached her full potential. So, can you share with us how you learned how to let go of the idea of who you thought you should become and have now embraced the woman that you are today?
Yes. I couldn't hear the broke up. We had a connection.
Did she hear me? She didn't hear the question. Oh, can y'all hear me though? Okay, so the question was, can you share with us how you learned to let go of the idea of who you thought you should be and now embracing the woman you are today? We might be having some connection issues.
Type mine in because we keep losing connection. But I think I kind of heard a little bit of the question of how did I have to let go of the image of what I was seeing. And basically it was, I was not her anymore. And that was a hard pill to swallow. But when everything in you is the simple things, which made me happy, no longer being that cheerful person, she was gone. And that's something that I had to realize and accept, that old Tasha, like in the movie, old Helen is gone. Old Tasha is gone. She's not coming back. She has transformed, and for survival. So it wasn't even something that it was like an option, that I didn't have an option. Trauma stole her. So I was kind of forced. Everybody know you're forced to change. So that's how it all came about.
And so also in your chapter, you talked about grief and depression. You said after about 6 months of attending funerals and dealing with family issues, you said that depression wasn't just at your front door, but I love how you described this. You said that depression was not at your front door, but it had came in, took its shoes off, and and has made itself comfortable. Okay, so unfortunately, in most cases, the title of being a wife, of being a mother, of being sister, girlfriend, all these different titles we have can cause you to bear more weight than others in your household. So, can you share with us how you navigated through your depression and the depression of your entire family? Because so many of the readers have experienced this or will come to experience this type of depression. So can you please let us know how you navigated through it, and looking back, did you do it the way you thought you should have? Like with no regrets or anything like that. Like,
You do it the best way you can and the only way you know how. I have no regrets. Parenting and life doesn't come with a manual. So I have everything is you have to figure it out as you go along and do what best works for you. I will never forget when I was sitting in my car outside, and I called my therapist and I said, I can't do another title. even being called mom, and being that I homeschooled my kids, I was always around adults. So I really didn't have a life, and I'm a homebody, so I didn't have friends to really even go to talk to, but I was confined. And so I remember calling my therapist and I said, I just can't do another title. I said, it's too much. I can't do mom. I can't do wife. I can't do friend. I'm over it. And so she said to me, the best advice, she said, you're over the roles. I knew immediately I had to let go of some of the roles that I was attached to. As far as so much depression going on in my house, we have to worry about not only our depression, but our kids' depression, trying to fix them. And the main thing is to first fix ourselves before we can, okay, my kids don't need a mother right now. They don't need a mother. They need a friend. So why I'm the crybaby? Ain't nobody cried. Now I'm the crybaby. But so I had to switch that and become my kid's friend. Too much on me. I had to learn to have fun. And so I love my nieces and nephews. To be honest, they had so much of a better life than my nanny. So so I had to switch roles. And I had to also let go of some of my roles. I also saw who was there for me in this time and who was not there for me in my time of need. And I live by this rule. If my glass will continue to stay full, if the mist from it is hanging over, that's all you can others. Because when I needed help, no one was there. And I can honestly say that no one was there to pour back into me, to fill me up, to help me out, to guide me through this. So switching roles and letting go of titles, I will say I ended a marriage that people still to this day is like, wait, what? I can't believe that. And it was not that I had a bad marriage. My spouse is a great person, but I no longer could take on that role as wife anymore. Not benefit me, and I cut ties with those. So that's how I navigated through and really did. I that I can give is look at what benefits you.
Yeah, I think you know what? If a lot of people took that page out of your book on how to let go of some of these roles, the world would be a better place. There will be no more stress. and we do to ourselves, we take on all these roles when we like, listen, the Lord didn't ask me to do that. I'm just supposed to be me. And that's it. He didn't ask me to do nothing else. But I want to, before we move to Kim, I want to talk about two statements that you made in this chapter where I was like, somebody add this to the back of the Bible in the notes section. She says, sometimes change is not our enemy, it is our savior. And I was like, ooh, okay, that's the whole word. Then my favorite one, she said, do not bend, do not break, do not bow, you burn. A phoenix always rises from its ashes. Meaning boundaries, meaning hashtag no, meaning hashtag self-care. Ain't nobody got time for that. You remember when they used to mess with Tamar Braxton? Ain't nobody has time, ain't nobody got time for that. That's what I'm gotta put it up on the screen. Do not bend, break, or bow. Okay, like come through with a blaze, because you are who you are. You are enough. You are worthy. Don't let nobody break you. Don't let nobody make you bend over and do stuff. No, 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 hashtag no. And I'm starting to learn that now, because this is my big age era. I will be knocking on 40. Okay. So when I read that, I was like, oh yes, that's definitely speaking to me. So I just want to put them statements out there. You do not have to elaborate, because baby, I think they speak for themselves. Change is not your enemy. It can be your savior. And my favorite, as I put up here, don't bend, break, or bow, you burn. Kimberly, please give us your takeaways from chapter 9.
This is so funny because we talked about takeaways last night. And as we were sitting here, I was like, I had added 2 more takeaways, but Holly just said them. It was basically, sometimes change is not our enemy, it's our savior. So I went back to, I'm like, Holly. So going back to your chapter, because I literally watched you navigate your chapter, and you share bits and pieces with us. But this one is a transformation, like literally transformation, because I can see it. And we all went through some pieces of what you went through, but not to the full extent, because you took on a lot. And here's one thing I want to say before I go on a tangent. You wrote depression was at your front door. Holly, we hit that one up. It took off. It basically came in and took a seat. Like, I'm here, I'm coming in, and I'm sitting in your house for several months, and I'm gonna wreak havoc. And that's basically what was happening, wreaking havoc through the house, between loss and loss and loss, from all parts of the home. And then you talked about the titles. I remember you talking about, I cannot keep doing these titles. And that is so powerful, because we get caught up in titles, because our titles is like, okay, I'm supposed to be the CEO, and trying to carry out that heaviness of that. And then you got the title of being mom. Mom is enough. And it has several, it's one title, but it's several pieces to it. And then here you are, the doctor, the lawyer, the coach, the life coach, the wife, the friend, the daughter, the sister, the therapist for everybody, the teacher. And how can you not lose yourself if you're all of that? Where is me? Because I'm nowhere in that. So this chapter was about you finding yourself, and you are doing that. And so I'm like, because I'm like, she got a different haircut. Like, what's she doing now? Like, but you're going back. You're not going back to the old person, but it's the new person that's being brought. So you may have missed the old you, but the new person that's coming forward, she had to go through hell and high water so you can be the person that you are today. And that person that you are today is going to help somebody who was over there where you were when you had nobody. So that's the difference. So that was my takeaway of also trying to be the fixer. We always want to be the fixer, and we want to fix everybody. We want to help everybody. But when we need to be fixed, there is nobody there to help the strong people. That is our reality, because they don't know how. How do I help the strong one? I don't know how to help them, because I'm always going to them to get advice. What do I tell them? I don't know what to tell them. So we're like, where are they? They don't know what to do. They really don't know.
Yeah.
And so you said you had to do the shit yourself. So you went to trial.
Oh, she got it. Oh,
you went to trial.
Yeah.
That's what hit me. And so I just was like, it hit me because it was like, you had to go to court, you had a lawyer, but you had to be your own lawyer, and you had to win your own case. And so the same thing with homeschooling. You learn how to homeschool your children. You went out, you started counseling, you started doing shadow work. getting healed, and you beat depression. And so that's the thing that was powerful for me. Those were my takeaways. And you stop people pleasing. That's the one thing we got to stop doing. When you can stop people pleasing people, you have overcome so many milestones in life, and you are not no longer having to worry about, did I make you feel okay? Are you okay? When you stop people pleasing. And then another thing that you said that you did, you left Christianity, but you grew stronger, more spiritual, and stronger and wiser. And so, but that was my takeaways. And of course, I had, so you don't bend, break or bow.
Yes.
So, yeah, those are the takeaways from your chapter, because for me it was from depression to trauma, and it was a lot of trauma in there, and finding yourself, and then setting up boundaries, and then releasing people that was no longer serving you. And sometimes people feel that when you leave people behind, sometimes you have to let people go, and you can have a friendship with a person for 20 years, 5 years, 4 years, but sometimes it reaches that point, and there's a way that you release them where it's not like you just throwing people in a trash can. There's a way of us doing things as grown folks when we have to let people go, because everybody can't stay in your circle. Because if you're not growing and we're all pulling each other down, we got to go find another circle. And so if you was by yourself and you had all those people in the circle, then you kind of need to go and start over with a new dot. So but that was my takeaways from your chapter.
Okay, so thank you, Kim, for your takeaways. And so now to the panel, do any of you have any takeaways from any of the other chapters that you may have read from the book?
Miss Jefferson's story, and
Because I
Natasha's
like,
story, both of them, like just everything that she went through as far as the lupus was concerned. It was like, okay, I I understood with the fibromyalgia and having to dig deep and figure out what was my next solution for myself, because I don't take conventional medicine. Even though I'm a nurse, I don't like conventional medicine. So that for me was like right on point. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm in the right direction. And then Natasha's story was like, okay, girl, I see you. I see you. And here I am again. Okay, I went from 16, 18 to now I'm in the 8. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I see. I like it. I really enjoyed it. It was perfect for me.
All right, you guys. Well, it has been a pleasure, and I have enjoyed this journey of the interviews with you ladies and the last set of ladies. I'm so honored and proud to also be in the family of you guys, of being a co-author. Thank you, Kimberly, for being the visionary behind Awaken Your Inner Warrior and putting these stories together. I really and truly feel like these stories could have been a little bit more in depth. So I can't wait to see everyone come out with their own individual book, or maybe we'll do a follow up, like a volume 2, like update from all the ladies, or what is going on in their new chapters of life. So as we say here at Her Story in Color, be the voice and the echo. A lot of times we are afraid to be the voice. So if you are not the voice, please share any story or any inspiration that you have found from others. And we are getting ready to close out. Please make sure you like, share, and comment this video. And we will see you on the next go around. You guys have a blessed Sunday. And I pray that your work week gets off to a great start.